Hello and welcome to In Business Talks 2. We're excited to welcome you to our bonus episode of the Friday Fix. We are your hosts Tracy and Ian Earl, founders of In Business, a networking and business support community. And together
we are In Business. Every Friday we'll be discussing a business-related subject with either one of our wonderful In Business networking members or a fellow business owner who'll be sharing their advice, thoughts or knowledge on a particular topic. This week we've got our very own Ian Earl, yet again, in his series of networking tips.
Thank you, Tracy. Thank you for inviting me along.
Welcome. And this week's episode is called What Do You Do?
Indeed, what do you do?
Take it away.
So what is one of the... You've done lots of networking, Tracy. What is one of the main questions you get asked before when you meet anyone at any event or even online as well sometimes?
That's a standard question, isn't it? What do you do?
Correct. Now, what I want to talk about today is how to make the what do you do question probably a bit less boring. So 3 ways to answer the networker's standard question, what do you do? Mm-hmm. Now, before we do that, what I want to do is, that, first of all, 2 things. Try and avoid you asking the boring question. Please don't you be the one that asks the boring what do you do. Think about what else you might say, which I'll come back to later in the show anyway, with a couple of ideas. And think how you might answer it when you do get this question, and you will. Like anything else, the secret's to be prepared with an answer prior to being asked the question.
Of course.
So before we start, just something to remember when you do get asked the what do you do question, it's in the actual, the words themselves, what do you do? It's not what profession or trade you're in. So often you might hear people say when they get asked the question, what do you do? I'm a solicitor, I'm an accountant, or I'm a web designer, or whatever it might be.
It is, that's the standard.
Yeah, and all that says
providing you are a solicitor, an accountant or a web designer.
You have to be one of those things to be able to say that, of course you do. But what all that does is tell you they're a solicitor, accountant, so that tells you what they are, not what they do. So, for example, you should be thinking something along the lines of, I work in a solicitor's, specialise in helping people purchasing a new property, or maybe I help maximise the taxes so they can save money. This is the accountant, by the way, not the solicitor. Or if you're a web designer, I build amazing, fully optimised websites to help businesses attract more clients. Now, can you see the difference?
Yeah,
you're telling them what you do, not what you are. Well, you're telling them what they are in between, but people get the sense of what you actually do as well, which is what they're really wanting to know.
Yeah.
Anyway, now we've got that out of the way. Swiftly moving on, we'll go on now to the 3 anti-boring ways you can answer the question, what do you do? The first one is share a success option. The second one is find your why. And the third one is the hero's journey.
Ooh.
Interesting. So we'll start first of all with the share a success option.
Okay.
So when you do get asked the question, think about what you do and try to turn it into a positive success. So have you completed any big projects recently? Were there any measurable effects you've achieved for another client or you even, something you've done? Or have you achieved any small milestone that you're pleased about? So you might answer, So you might answer the question something like, I've recently completed a big website project for a client that is currently helping to generate an extra 50 sales per month. Yeah?
Impressive.
Yeah, you share a success there. Yeah, so that's what you've done. You tell them what you do, but you're also saying the result, the success that you've had. So this client is now generating, because of what you've done, 50 sales per month. Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
Okay, so that's the success one. So think about the success. The next option, which is one of my favourites, is find your why. And I'm a big fan of this book, as you well know, Tracy.
Yeah, it's one of your favourites, and you keep referring back to it quite often.
Yeah, it is a good one. It's a book by Simon Sinek, and it's called Start With Why. Now, what he says is knowing your mission or your why is probably more important than what you do. Now, like I said, I would suggest that you have a look at the book by Simon Sinek, Start With Why. Great book that helps you work out your why or your mission in life. So it's a good start point. So starting with why will eventually lead you to the how and what of what you do. And there's basically a 3-step framework.
All right, okay.
So why? Ask yourself, what are you trying to accomplish? What's your vision, goal, or your mission? And why do you get out of bed in the morning, apart from to go for an early morning walk? How? Next, think of how you do things differently. What makes you stand apart from others, and what makes your job special? And then finally, the what. Finally, end with what you do. So describe what you offer or what you bring to the table. If you use the why, how, what formula, find your why, your answer to the question, what do you do, might be something like, my mission is to help people reduce their taxes. This is for an accountant, by the way, maybe.
Yeah, I gather.
It's not my mission. My mission is to help people reduce their taxes so they can save money and live a life of choice. There you go. That's that accountant's mission. Good mission, that. Save taxes. Okay.
Absolutely. We all want to save taxes.
So remember, find your why. It's the why, how, and what. So you've got to ask yourself certain questions when you do that. But have a look at the book. Have a look at the book.
Okay.
The next option now is it's called the hero's journey. Is this one?
Oh, this sounds interesting.
And this is a bit more difficult, but if you can pull it off, it's quite powerful. If you think about it, people love stories. You like a story, don't you, Trish? Apparently, researchers found that when we hear a story, our brains feel and see the actual images. So how powerful is that? Right. So if you have an interesting background, try using this technique. You can maybe start with things like, I don't know, many years ago, I'm a former, I'm a X turned into a X or something.
X turned into a Y.
Yeah, X turned into a Y, something like that, yeah. But there's 4 parts to the hero's journey story that you're going to tell them. Where you started, the difficulties you faced, how you overcome them, and where you are today. So your answer to the question, what do you do, might be something like this. I started out as a shelf stacker at Tesco's. It was okay, but I felt empty inside. It wasn't really where I wanted to be. Then one day, on a walk across the moors, it suddenly came to me. I wanted to be a solicitor, unusual choice maybe, and grow it into a large practice. So I started my journey, studied hard, and now I have my own practice with 20 solicitors. So there you go, the hero's journey. So you start off as one thing and end up as another thing. How cool is that? Like I say, it takes a bit more practice, that one, but you can make it quite interesting if you have got an interesting story to tell.
I think the secret with that is to keep it as succinct as you can.
Yes.
You do often get people at networking events who tell you their whole life story.
Oh, you don't want the full life story.
You don't want the full version
that
of that.
in a couple of sentences.
Yeah.
And you got a gist of it, which is what you're aiming for. Because you want people to be curious, don't you? You want people to ask more questions, so that leads them to ask you more questions, and maybe then you can bore them with your life story. But until you get that permission, don't do that. Just leave it at that and just see. But it's a good way of explaining where you were and where you are now. Hopefully you get the idea. Yeah,
I get the idea. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then now, as a bit of a bonus, all the things I've just mentioned, you can turn them around. But you can use them to ask the interesting questions as well. So as well as just answering what do you do, think about now with what we've said the answers might be that you might give, you can turn those into your questions. You can ask someone, rather than what do you do, what big projects are you working on at the moment? Why do you get out of bed in the morning? What makes your job special? And what challenges have you faced recently? Now they're far more interesting questions, and I'm certain you'll get a better quality of conversation where you ask people these questions, and you'll be far more memorable than asking, what do you do? Okay.
Some great advice there.
Yeah, so
Thank
if you think about it, so 3 things in there. So think about it: the success story, your why story, and the hero story. And if you can work something around your answers to what do you do using those 3 ideas, have a think about them, then you should be quite memorable, I would think. People would remember you rather than someone else.
I think it's about being prepared, isn't it? And, it's like anything, isn't it, in life? If you plan and prepare before you go, then you're going to come out with better conversations and better results.
Definitely, as you rightly say, preparation is the key. Be prepared beforehand. Practice it as well. Write it down. Practice it. So perhaps you don't have to... commit it to memory, if you like, so you don't have to have a piece of paper and read it. If you keep it short and sweet, and the idea is just to pique people's interest, so they do want to find out more about you, and you sound a bit more interesting when they ask you, what do you do, if you do something like that. There's lots more ways as well, but that was just 3 ways to give you some ideas.
Some great advice there. Thank you very much. We'll look forward to speaking to you again in about a month's time, because this is going to be a regular slot.
Excellent. You're going to have me back. That's lovely. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll have you back. You're behaving yourself, so that's all good.
and if you do try these, please let me know if you give them a try, and if you found it useful. And just keep us posted, really.
Okay.
And good luck with your networking.
Thank
Good luck
you.
with your networking. Where are we? We're almost at the end of what?
We're almost at the end of this week's show, but before we go, we're excited to tell you about our In Business Talks 2 episode this coming Tuesday. Our special guests on Tuesday's podcast are Charlotte and Russell Trudgeon, husband and wife team, and talking about living, working and making business decisions together, and how their faith has helped them in their 18 years of business. We had a lovely conversation with those guys, didn't we? So
really nice.
we're looking forward to putting that episode out. So
thanks so much for joining us this week on In Business Talk 2 Friday Fix. We hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, all we ask is that you simply tell a friend about the show. We'd really appreciate it. And until next time, this is Ian and Tracy, and together
we are In Business. Goodbye.
Goodbye.